So Jana, thanks so much for coming.
You're welcome.
Why don't we just start right at the beginning? I know you're a small town girl, so why don't you let us know where you were born?
Sure.
And then why you came to Saskatoon.
Okay. So I was born in Norquay. It's a little town about an hour northeast. No, well, no. About an hour northeast of Yorkton, so about 3.5 hours east of here, and came to Saskatoon for university and just stayed.
What was your major?
So I went into commerce, and back then that was, well, it was in 1991 that I came, and it was just kind of the era of women getting into technology, and so my parents really encouraged me to be a computer science major as I went through the BCom. So it meant I had to stay for a summer class, and I lasted maybe 2.5 days in that class. I was doing programming, some sort of programming language, and went to the opposite end of the spectrum, majored in HR, and finished in a much happier place than I was as a computer science major. So for those that know me, know that that wouldn't have been a good fit. Yeah. And yeah, that's kind of where I started.
So you graduated in HR, and obviously now we know you're in Pilates, but let's get up to that. So sure. Right after you graduate, you're in HR.
Yep.
Where did you go from that with an HR degree, besides somewhere very boring? Well,
there weren't many jobs in HR at that point. So I actually worked retail. If you guys remember the Winter Co, Summer Co store at Midtown Plaza, it was Summer Co during the summer and winter, yeah. So actually that was where I started my career. I felt slightly...
Seasonal?
Seasonal, thank you, Jay. But within short order, I ended up in the HR department at Yankee Transfer. That was my very first HR job.
So while you're working at Winter Co and Summer Co, you were just applying for HR jobs?
Applying for HR jobs all over. And you know, it ended up, I did a project in one of my commerce classes and got to know Charlotte Rochon through that. And you know, when they were hiring, it was great. You never take for granted the people who cross your path, because you never know when they're going to come back into your life in a really important way, and that was her. And I was in charge of the fleet of drivers from Winnipeg, so it was 10-4 Big Buddy, got your ears on, making sure they had all of their Department of Transportation paperwork up to date, and you know, but besides all that paperwork stuff that had to get done legally, what I found in a really short order was I was an extension. Became an extension of their family, because I was kind of that constant voice when they were living on the road. So it was a great. I couldn't have asked for a better first HR job, because it takes all of that rose-colored glasses that you have coming out of a degree, and it gives you a little dose of reality. So it was a great learning experience for me.
And you learned some colorful language.
I learned some colorful language in many languages,
right,
not just English.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. So then you worked for them for a bit, and then, like, obviously you didn't stay there. No. So where did you transition, and why did you transition? So
I transitioned actually to the university. I went back on campus. I got a job in student services. And so my new job was transition programming for first-year students. So I worked on the student orientation, the parent orientation. We created a class called University Life 101, which kind of took that one-day intro to the university, and we kind of made it live all year long. So new people coming in from small towns or even from the city, they weren't one of 4,000. They were maybe one of 20 now, a little cohort that went through the first year of university together. So there was some really cool things that I spearheaded that I got some really great experience with. And met some fantastic people along the way. One of them, Jason Abig, who's here today, he was actually president of the USSU when I was working. And so again, like I mentioned with Charlotte, Jason was another important person in my life, because I spent 10 years on campus working through student services, and then I had a stint at the College of Law where I did their HR and finance work. And in the middle, we had 3 babies, and so it was a great place to kind of come back after mat leaves, but was looking for more. And when I was on my 3rd mat leave, started looking at doing the CHRP designation, so I started studying for that, wrote that exam, and that's when Jason was actually working for Peggy Koenig, which I know a lot of you know, and they were looking to expand their team there, and so he tapped me on the shoulder, and the next thing I knew, I had given my notice and returned after my third mat leave, not back to campus, but downtown. Going through university, I taught fitness. I was certified as a fitness instructor to help pay for my tuition. So I taught step classes. I taught a class called biceps, bellies, and butts. And
it sounds like my kind of class.
Yeah. So fitness was always a part of my life. And Madonna was on the cover of Shape magazine in 1999. Yeah. And I didn't even know, I thought it said pilots. And I thought, well, I want to do what Madonna's doing. So I picked up this magazine and took it home, and there wasn't even Google then, so I had to flip through the leisure guide to see where in Saskatoon they were offering pilots classes. And I found a mat class at Lakewood Civic Center and started taking it. And at that time I was running marathons and doing boot camps and stuff like that. And I walked into that class and saw what would be the equivalent of maybe like 15 people like my mom. And I thought, well, I'm going to be like the best person in this room. And I did maybe 30% of what all those very nice people were doing. And so I kind of got hooked. It intrigued me, and I wanted more. So while I was working for Peggy, I started taking Pilates classes and wondered, well, what would it be like to get certified? And looked into it, and we'd have to go to either Vancouver or Toronto. At that time, my husband, Jason, was working for Dow Chemical. We were still farming at that point. We had 3 boys under the age of 4. So moving away for 9 months to train in Pilates wasn't in the cards. But sometimes the universe presents things to you. And there was a woman from Phoenix coming to Saskatoon every 3 months over an 18-month period to teach the Pilates mat and apparatus training. So I remember saying to Jason, I think I'm going to do this. And it's not cheap, and it's very time-consuming. And he said, why? Like, why? And I said, well, if the only thing I learn is stuff that can help you and I and the boys as we get older, then that's enough of, that's what I want from this. And so as the good, supportive husband that he is, he's like, okay, we'll do it. And I did. So while I was working, I started doing my training. So it took me about 18 months to finish that. And then there were some changes going on there. And Jason had made his exit, and another colleague of ours had made her exit, and that left me. And so at that point made the decision, well, maybe it's time for me to also go out on my own. And so I did. So that was the summer of 2008. I was just finishing up my training. And so started that August, started doing HR consulting out of our home in my upstairs office. And then in that September, I started teaching mat classes it was 4 a week. So 2 girls classes, and then Jason, my husband, wrangled up some of his friends, and we did 2 guy classes a week. And it was great. It was great. But what I realized was by January of 2010, I was teaching 16 hours of classes a week in our basement and about 20 hours of privates and doing my consulting and feeling at that point that I wasn't doing a good job of anything. And so we had a little chat one night, and Jason's like, there's a business here. It's not just a hobby anymore. Our boys would come down in their pull-ups. Good night, Mom. And I'm like, okay, it's not just, Auntie and my friends here. It's people who are looking for something maybe a little bit more professional. And so Jason actually left Dow, came over, because lead management consulting, I had built a nice little practice up. So he came and took that over. And that allowed me to focus on the Pilates piece. So in June, we found space. Ken Kritzweiser from ICR helped us out. So we found space in June on Taylor Street. Opened in September of 2010. And that's where things kind of all began.
So what was your plan or your strategy? Because as you said, most people thought it was pilots and had no clue what it was.
Yep.
How were you going to move into the city and start this up and get a client base and turn it into a profitable business?
The nice thing was that I had a foundation. So everybody, literally, I didn't lose one client from my house going over to Taylor Street. So that was awesome. And early on, while the space was getting renovated, I really involved my clients in that process, because we talk about the lead family all the time, and it truly is like that. And so it wasn't only me and Jason and our family that was kind of mentioning or talking about what we were doing, but I had probably a solid 100 to 125 people that were walking through my door once, twice, 3 times a week that were now also going out and kind of spreading the word. So that, it's a risk with any kind of business, but I felt confident that we had a good solid foundation to at least jump off from.
How long did it take before, because I imagine you didn't just move into that building and all of a sudden your financial statements were positive and everything was great. So how long did that was that before it was viable? And then how long from that point to where you thought we need a new space?
Okay, so we signed a 5-year lease. By halfway through, by 2.5 years, 80% capacity for us is where we start to dial back our marketing, because we feel like you can't offer a product and then have people on wait lists not experiencing, because it's about accountability. That's when you feel changes in your body. So at year 2.5 is when we started realizing, all right, we're starting to bust at the seams. We need to look ahead. And by about 18 months in is where the new business model started percolating in my head, because I'm a firm believer that there's not one thing from a treatment perspective that is a cure-all. There's just not. I think that's how the fitness industry and the wellness industry has marketed certain things very well, like this quick fix, do this 3-week cleanse and you'll be on your way, or do this little ab rocker and you'll have your 6-pack in just 10 minutes a day, right? And we buy that stuff, we buy it. But what I was finding is when I would refer clients out to chiropractic or massage, I wouldn't lose those clients. They would come back to me and I would have a different body to work with. So I could do so much more for them. And for everybody that I sent out and referred, I would get 5 or 6 new bodies, because we were actually fixing people. We weren't just Band-Aid approaching a posture or an injury that maybe had been there for years and years. So we started to see the value in this new business model. Because there already was a chiropractor with massage therapy in our building, we knew that if we wanted to move forward with this idea, we would have to find new space. And that was really challenging, because at that point, commercial space in Saskatoon was hard to find. And we needed a location that we wanted to be a destination point. We didn't need high costs on 8th Street or University Heights or any place like that. And so we turned to Ken again, and he helped us find where we are right now in the Sutherland Industrial. So part of the urban reserve is where our build is.
I mean, this is a great transition, because part of this interview, Jana had approached me and said, hey, we've got this new building. I'd really like you to check it out and see what Pilates is all about. And I'm like, all right, because my wife was big into mat Pilates. So when we first got married, she'd always be doing Pilates, and I'm like, that looks easy, because my wife is tiny. And I remember the first time I was like right beside her, I'm doing this stuff, and then within like 2 minutes, I'm like dying. So I'm doing like the army crawl just to get out of her peripheral vision, so she didn't see that I was just laying there, not doing anything. So anyway, Jana invited us to check out the new lead building. And we did some stuff and we recorded it. So why don't we just show that clip, and they'll get to see your building a bit and maybe have a couple laughs. So we'll check out that clip right now. Hi guys, we're with Jana at Lead Pilates in Saskatoon, our guest for Chamber on Tap, and she thought not just would it be great to tell her story about the business and where it went, but she thought it'd be fun to bring me into her torture den, which I haven't seen anything like this since the Princess Bride. So she's going to show us, this is a planking table, right?
Well, it's called the Reformer, but we're going to plank on it today.
Reformer.
Yeah.
Sounds encouraging.
Okay, so get on. I'm going to put this down. Bring your feet in between here. This is your headrest, so bring your feet back. Yep.
Okay, so just stand up, and it's all in the shoulders?
It's all in the shoulders. Bring your thumb on top here.
On top?
Yep,
okay.
Good.
It's all about posture.
Beautiful. Ready?
Yeah.
Press back. This is not a competition, so don't compete against each other. Okay. Keep going, and then come back in. Good.
Look at this posture I have.
So we're just gonna, drop that.
Is it normal that my whole body is shaking?
It's very normal.
Oh my God.
And then bring the carriage
back.
with control.
Okay, I see what you're saying. It really wanted to come back. Oh my gosh.
Keep coming. It's like backing up the grain truck. Keep
Yeah,
coming,
it really
keep
is.
coming, keep coming, keep coming. There. Now go again.
Really, go again? All right.
Did you take a breath?
I think I did.
Okay. And then come back in.
Look
Beautiful,
at this. Look at
Danielle.
this planking. It's
That's
like
impeccable.
Oh my gosh.
Positioning. And then come back.
So where do we puke?
So
What else
you passed challenge number 1. So we're going to go and work on the Pilates chairs. And again, a very seemingly, I mean, an exercise we've done at the gym, right? Lunges.
Yeah, I'm always at the gym.
Well, or I mean, functionally, walking up and down stairs, that's a lunge, right?
Yeah.
So the cool thing about this is there's a lot of instability your body has to manage. So I don't care about knee over second toe and all that kind of stuff, because guess what? When you're sliding on an icy parking lot, you're not going to go down and think knee over second toe as you're falling, right?
When I fall, I'm thinking
Well,
like,
and
I don't want to
these
spill
little-
this drink.
Okay, say a little prayer.
Yeah, that's it. Please help me.
Okay, you need to breathe on this one. If you do not breathe, you're going to go nowhere fast. Inhale through your nose, and as you exhale, push into this top foot and float the pedal up.
Okay.
There. Okay.
You made that look way easier.
Well, yeah, but I've done it a few times.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
what I want you to challenge yourself on is don't let the pedal bottom out. So stop about an inch from the ground and then come right back up.
Yeah, totally.
Awesome.
God.
So I can tell a lot about your feet here. I can tell we've got to work the glute med a little bit more because you keep collapsing over. And this will become a fallen arch, but I can fix that on you.
Okay.
No problem.
See, you
Excellent
were
job,
talking
you
about
guys.
slipping. I would rather be slipping in a park.
No. Do you think you need this or can I take it?
Try to take it.
Okay. Please don't knock your wife over.
I'll be good. The one thing I've learned is not to knock her over.
And you guys are done.
Oh.
So do you feel like you've kind of broken a little bead?
Oh, I feel like
And you
it.
just did like 5.
I feel like my leg is burning. Oh my God.
So like a
knew?
diamond with high cut quality, all that kind of stuff, this is always quality over quantity. Always. Okay?
Okay.
Shall we go into the fitness studio?
Yeah, let's try the straps.
Hang on to those.
Okay, this is almost like wakeboarding.
Got it?
feels
Totally. Okay, so turn your hands to face the wall behind you.
This?
Yep, just exactly that. And then push your arms back and try and keep your core engaged and don't fall off. Yep, and then come right back down.
Well, I think when you have a core like me, it's always engaged.
Okay, try this then, Smarty. So as you're pushing your hands back,
All right.
do a little bit, we call this,
Okay. I regret it.
come on here,
Okay.
and then come right back. So Pilates is all about organizing the body in different ways. Yes, good, both of you.
She's good at it. I feel like I'm flying a kite or something.
Okay, the last thing I want to show you
Pretty naturally
on
athletic.
film is the Bodhi. Yeah, with your thumb, and then the
I'm
same
doing
thing
it.
on
I'm
this side.
exercising. Look at this.
Grab it with your
Leaning
thumb.
on ropes.
Okay, are you ready?
Okay.
All right, so I want you to bend your left leg
Oh, left leg. Holy God. Like, see? Yeah.
and then straighten it like you're gonna jump like ski jumping in the Olympics.
Look how
And come
fat I
back and up.
great-
Come back. And what I want you to start to do
I should have wore a corset.
is this really great, almost like you're leaping.
Totally.
Okay, let's see it. And then land. You got it. All right.
Okay.
So now, bend and then explode. Well, more.
Really? Like
More
like go in the
explosion.
air?
Well, did you see what I was doing?
I think I did, but I got scared.
So part of this is a brain thing, letting go. So you bend
Yeah.
and you,
Okay.
okay? You're not gonna go anywhere, there, and then find your balance.
No, I'm not gonna go anywhere. It's at
Well,
the
you're
hospital.
not. No, you're not. Oh my.
Sorry, Jana. She's like so pro.
There's your little bit of lead.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thanks so much, Jana.
You're welcome.
Stay tuned for the rest of the interview and learn more about the story. It's gonna be awesome. I need some water and some ice and a cup of Tylenol. You're noticing the posture in kids. Is that technology? Is that the iPads and the iPhones? Like as a parent, like, is that really what's causing that kind of stuff?
Mostly. There was a study out of the States about a year ago that said, and it's quite shocking, it said that our kids, they're the first generation at risk of not outliving the generation ahead of them. So from the start of mankind, generations outlive the generation before them. But because of how sedentary we are and technology, you know, we no longer have to get up to turn the TV off. We no longer have to, I mean, we can order a pizza from sitting down. We don't have to do those things anymore. And so, you know, when you see companies even like Blue Cross with their push to play and those kinds of things, those are really, really important initiatives because we need to make sure that our kids are consistently moving. So even digestive issues, we're seeing kids with way more digestive issues, anxiety is up, and it's because their body is not moving like it was meant to, yeah.
Like you kind of started talking about Bodhi, but like what are these things? So it looks like, okay, there's stuff hanging from the ceiling. What is it? Like it's, so we think we got to be pushing heavy weights to be exercising.
Exactly.
Right?
That machine in particular was created by a Pilates instructor, a colleague of mine from the States, and she was in a motor vehicle accident. And so Bodhi means to awaken in Sanskrit. And so her husband is, he climbs mountains, and so it's rock climbing rope, so it has a little bit of tensegrity, a little bit of give, that way your joint structure doesn't have to take the brunt of that. So when you're working with the Bodhi, you're getting strength and you're getting eccentric strength. That's what Pilates is all about. It's about working a muscle from joint structure to joint structure, versus when you're lifting 10 bags of groceries or a kettlebell, you're getting concentric strength, which means the muscular fibers that are already the strongest are doing the most lifting of that load. It's all physics, it really is. I hated physics in high school, now that's all I do really. But an eccentric environment gives you, it's like the buy one, get one free. You're getting the strength of a lengthened muscle and the flexibility in one movement. You're also getting more health around the joint because those muscles are getting strength around the joints.
So you've obviously, it's a well-rounded business. You got the Pilates, you got the cycling, you got the fitness, you got the Bodhi, you've got the integrated health stuff. So obviously at the beginning when it was in your basement, Pilates was 100% of your revenue. Like what was coming in was Pilates. Now you're diversified. So would you say the fitness side of your business is still the major contributor to the business? And where do you see that shifting? Because it seems to me that this natural health stuff is a really growing business. So
the clinic is definitely catching up. I mean, we continue to grow that side of the business. So we're getting closer to a point where they're equal revenue streams. But we have big plans. I don't like maintenance mode very well. So I don't know if anybody was at the Brett Wilson pitch party in November and saw me pitch to Brett Wilson, but that night I used it as an opportunity to have 800 people from Saskatoon hear our new business line, which is our lead corporate wellness services. So I've taken my time in the HR world where we would go in sometimes and do organizational assessments or work with another company that would do ergonomic design, and that was all great. It's important that you have your keyboard tray where it needs to be and your monitor where it needs to be, and now there's this big trend with stand-up workstations, and that's the cure-all for all this back pain and low productivity, but it's not. It is 100% not, and we have the solution to that. So taking my HR background with my movement, we've created something called Lead Corporate Wellness Solutions. So we're going in to look at a piece of the puzzle that no one looks at, which is the body behind the desk. So you can go and get an ergonomic assessment, you can get everything set where it needs to be, but in 6 months, that body is different. And so now my keyboard tray is no longer where it should be, and miraculously my low back pain is back, and I'm back on my Tylenol 3s because I haven't changed anything. So the approach we're taking is very different.
You jump right from Tylenol to Tylenol 3s?
Well, I'm just using it.
I'm just teasing.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing. I mean, we want to take this corporate piece, and I have a lot of friends and colleagues that are small and medium-sized business owners, and we want to care for our employees. It's important. I mean, we know how the job market is, and being an employer of choice has been a tagline that gets thrown around all the time in the HR world, but what does that mean? So to be able to educate somebody about their body, so we've got a really cool piece of software called the Posture Pro. We take your photos, we plug it into the software, and what gets spit out is a report, and like golf, you want a low posture score. We plot you on a grid, and we can see very confidently where the forces of the environment are. So if someone has, I call it a Pez dispenser chin. So for every 1 inch of forward chin, it's the equivalent of 20 pounds of weight at this little bump. The C7 is the 7th cervical vertebra. And so for every 1 inch of forward head, it's like 20 pounds of force. So about 1.5 inches to 1.75 inches is where most people are these days. So we're seeing people with about 40 pounds. Think of 2 bags of flour around your neck every single second of the day as soon as you wake up. And you wonder why people have chronic headaches and back pain. So we take that snapshot, we then create a very customized approach depending on what the business wants. And we can go through a set of classes, we can set them up with their personal wellness team because we want that person to or I'll say this, the software has an effects of time button, which is extremely powerful because we can push that button and everybody that does the Posture Pro gets like a little avatar of their body, and you push effects of time, you can see where the avatar goes if nothing changes in the future, where that skeleton is going to be. So those are the MS grant, Lead Corporate Wellness Solutions, those kinds of pieces are where we're growing. Pilates will always be the heart of what we do. It's the movement that I believe can fix a lot of things. The treatment side, the clinical side is an amazing complement to the movement. So my team understands that they are not the siloed clinician and the value is the integration. So that's where we hope to go in the future.
I keep pushing my head back now that you brought that up.
Yeah. Me too, I'm sitting up straight.
I was just like then I felt
weird.
So can you correct that stuff? Like when you see it, like that's the whole point, right? You can correct it. So
there's certain sometimes structural damage has occurred that can't be fixed, but we can slow it. But if that structural damage has not occurred, 100%.
So now, obviously Saskatoon has given you and your family some opportunities in terms of the HR business, the consulting, now to lead. What do you think about being a business owner in Saskatoon over the last 10 years? Has it been beneficial? And where do you see that going forward? Like, is Saskatoon a good place to be doing business? Do you see there's a lot of potential?
Yeah. My sister's here. She has Sleepwell Consulting. I'm going to give her a little shout out. But Amanda and I come from a very entrepreneurial family. Jason's family is very entrepreneurial in the ag industry. That's where we came from. And so, I think all three of us worked for really great organizations that laid the foundation. So the businesses we worked for in Saskatoon were a huge part of where the three of us are today. So for that, I'm very thankful. I think Saskatoon has an amazing array of opportunities, even in those early stages when you're not ready to take that leap. So that's the first thing that I wanted to mention. This community just continues to, support what we do. It is, like I said, sometimes it's challenging because what we do is so new. And if you think about the fitness industry in this city, just even in the last 12 months, there have been a lot of new entrants into the market, right? So I think it's been untapped as far as that industry here. But yeah, we just hope to continue to grow. And like I said before, we really want LEAD to become a center of excellence in this city. We love partnering with other organizations on different initiatives, and we just hope that continues. We've had really preliminary conversations with people interested in our business model from Edmonton, from Regina. But at the end of the day, Jason and I just felt that we haven't done this recipe here. We haven't fully done what we need to do here to be 100% confident. And those opportunities will be there when we're ready. It's not the luck of the draw. Like, do you ever get that? You're so lucky, right? You're so lucky.
Never
just
get
like
that.
Things. Well, but I don't think it's luck. I think you find your opportunities and you meet the right people, and when the time is right, you kind of, and maybe if the time even isn't right, you just jump when you need to. So.